What's wrong with this wall? And this one? Not a trick question. No artwork. They are sad, empty walls. I want some artwork for my sad, empty walls. And if you do too, I think we can figure this out. I've had the idea for ages that I wanted to make a Bucketgirl coloring poster. So that would be every Bucketgirl I'd ever drawn just on one big poster. So I first got the idea from this artist, Little Thunder, and I just love this poster that she created, which is just full of little doodles, little illustrations, and you can just, color it in, relax, and then you get the reward of finishing it and you can put it up. And it looks so good. So imagine that, but Bucketgirl. The first thing I'm doing is screenshotting every Bucketgirl I want to use. And there are a lot of them, about 4 years worth. Then I'm just dumping them all into Fresco because I want to turn each illustration into a vector so that I can resize them easily when I get to designing the poster. And this process took 2 weeks, 10 days maybe? I don't know, there were a lot of Bucketgirls. Okay, there are a lot of Bucketgirls on this page, but I thought it might be fun to introduce a few of my favorites. The OG Don't Get Water in My Bucket Bucketgirl. The Russian fairy tale Watch Out for Her Flaming Skull Bucketgirl. It's Party Time Bucketgirl. Wintry Bucketgirl and her snow bucket. And kinda down in the dumps, but I'm eating a banana Bucketgirl. And there's so many more, but you'll have to look for them yourself. The next task is to arrange all of these nicely. I don't know why, but I was actually worried that I didn't have enough Bucketgirls to fill the page, but I have so many. Every time I kept putting a new one down, I was like, this has got to be near the end. This has got to be near the end. And there was just more and more. So I definitely think I have enough Bucketgirls, but I don't want this to look just randomly thrown across the page. So I'm going to spend some time properly designing this, maybe look at some other examples for some inspiration. So the two things I'm noticing are, one, that these posters seem to be very dense, so I'm guessing there won't be that much white space once you've finished it. And the second thing is that any of the little awkward gaps are being filled with hearts or squiggles or doodles or flowers or little shapes, again, just to increase the density and make sure there aren't any larger white spaces, which I think will detract from the finished result. So really, I think the thing to do is to fit these Bucketgirls together a bit like a puzzle. This one seemed like a good corner piece, so I started with that. And then really I was just trying to see which edges naturally seem to fit together and how I could minimize the amount of white space. And just see which gaps can be filled with protrusions, because they're all slightly different shapes. So I'm going to piece it together like a puzzle, and then any little gaps I will think of things to doodle and fill in. One thing I'm realizing is that I'm actually setting myself up for a challenge because I do not like coloring. I love sketching, I love the inking, I do not like coloring. I know for a lot of people it's relaxing, it's therapeutic. I find it stressful. Which colors, how to choose them, don't even get me started on light and shadow and atmosphere, and just be gone with all that stuff. So by making this poster that really has to be colored in order to be put on my wall, my sad empty wall, I'm gonna have to get a little bit better at coloring by the end of this. So hilariously, considering I made such a big deal about how many Bucketgirls I've drawn, I actually think I need some more. I've spent a couple of hours now piecing them all together and they fit together pretty well, but there are a few awkward gaps that need to be filled. Luckily, I have loads more Bucketgirls in the archive. And now I can be a little bit more strategic about the ones I draw. So that's the next job. And of course, because I was doing this in an Adobe product, I got the absolute pleasure of it crashing every 8 minutes. And yes, the file got corrupted several times, but this is why we make backups. So we survived and we moved forward. And once the buckets were done, it was time to fill in all those awkward gaps with little details and items that are relevant to Bucketgirl. So like WD-40 is at the heart of any good bucket skincare routine. And these butterflies are referencing an animation I made on Instagram. And so, after maybe another week of work, it was done. But this is supposed to be a poster, so let's do this properly. I love it. It doesn't fit. Oh my god. It doesn't fit. It's too wide. I'm gonna see if I can cut it. I decided to buy a frame for two reasons. One, because it would actually ruin the picture to cut it at the edges. And two, because I thought if you would like to purchase this poster and frame it, I should demonstrate that it is in fact very easy to do with a frame that fits. So this is, you of course, there's no pressure here. This is just to open the box. I got a nice metal one from like a local furniture shop kind of place. There's obviously a lot on Amazon, but they looked like kind of cheap wood, and it was the same price to just buy from a local furniture store, so that's what I did. Oh, it fits perfectly. I love it so much. Even though it's covered in cat hair, which is unavoidable in my house. It's amazing the difference that just a little bit of artwork can make to the feeling of a room. Totally transformed the way I feel about this room from sad and empty to more like this. And you know what? I actually really like the black and white version. I think color will be better, but the idea of coloring that in is too much for me right now. I think that's a challenge for another day. I got this printed at A1 size, so if you wanted to print it out big, the same as I have, these are the dimensions, but of course you can print it smaller as well. So I highly recommend that you put some art on your walls. It doesn't have to be the Bucketgirl coloring poster, but if you do like it, it will be available on Bucketgirl's website, which is linked below. Thank you for supporting Bucketgirl. Thank you for watching, and go put some art on your walls.